Welcome to our virtual celebration event for the opening of Red Kite View. I will allow a little bit more time for people to join. I think we've still got people joining us, but just to introduce myself, I'm Oliver Tipper. I'm the Head of Communications at Leeds and York Partnership Trust, the NHS Trust that is running this fabulous new facility. And we're delighted to have you all here with us this afternoon. I'm ably supported this afternoon by Lucy Heffron. Give us a wave, Lucy. Thank you.
Hi, everybody.
Hello. Who's driving this meeting and keeping us all in check. And Tom Johnston, who is going to be running the videos for us today. So without further ado, I think we're all in. Unless there's anyone else waiting in the wings, Lucy. No? Fabulous. Thank you. So as I say, my name's Oliver. I'm sort of hosting this event today on behalf of the trust and our partners. But essentially, why are we here today? Well, our fabulous new Children and Young People's Mental Health Inpatient Unit is just about to open. Literally tomorrow, we'll be admitting the first inpatients, and we are obviously very excited about that. We were very disappointed not to be doing this in person as we'd planned to do in December. And I think we sent out a lot of invites to you all for that, which we had to then rescind. And it was a bit of disappointment because obviously we would have loved to have taken you around and shown it you in the flesh. But unfortunately, circumstances conspired against us and we weren't able to do that. But hopefully we've got the next best thing here this afternoon. A few housekeeping notes. We're doing this on Zoom today and we are recording this session, which we will not be putting out into the general population. It's just for our record later on, and maybe to share with others that couldn't join, who wanted to join but maybe couldn't come at this time. Please keep your microphones on mute for most of the session. There will be opportunities for questions throughout. If, like me, you can't hold a thought, please feel free to use the chat and pop anything in there, and we will try and pick that up when we come to the questions later on. Okay, as I say, we tried to make this the next best thing, and we've got a little bit of an agenda for you. Lucy, could you please flash that up on the screen for me? Thank you very much. So as you say, I'm doing a few introductions at the moment, and then we'll be showing you a short video. There'll be a few words from Dawn Hanwell, and then we'll be going into a virtual tour. Now, the virtual tour is a sequence of 6 short videos, which our panel of experts, which I'll introduce in a moment, will be talking over. And at the end of each of those, there'll be an opportunity to ask a few questions. So, panel of experts. Shall we do a few introductions? I'll go around the screen. So start with Dawn. Mentioned you already. Dawn, could you introduce yourself?
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Dawn Hanwell. I'm the Finance Director at LYPFT, Deputy Chief Exec, and as Oliver said, the Senior Responsible Officer for this programme. Thank you.
Tim.
Hi, Tim Richardson. I'm Head of Operations for Children and Young People Services at LYPFT.
Thank you. And Stacey.
Hello everyone, I'm Stacey. I work for the Leeds Medical Needs Teaching Service and will be providing education at Red Kite View.
Thank you very much. Now, because there's so many people, I'm trying to work out where my panel of experts gone. Robin, I can see you there.
Good afternoon, everyone. Hi, I'm Robin Graham. I'm Associate Director at Gillingdon Architects, and we've been working with the Trust for the past 4 years on the design of Red Kite View.
Thank you very much. And I believe we are expecting a few other people. Perhaps Nick Lee was going to join us, but I can't see his name. Is there anyone else who is on my panel of experts that I haven't introduced? Please beg my pardon if I've missed you off. I'll take that as a no. Right. Well, without further ado, we're going to go now to show you a lovely little video that we shot just before Christmas. Now, in order to see this in its full effect, if you go to Tom Johnson's window and you click the 3 dots in the top right hand corner, you can pin or spot, I think, is it spotlight the profile? And that should blow the screen up nice and big. So hopefully it's nice and big on the screen. And please roll VT.
£20 million mental health unit in Leeds is about to open its doors for the first time. Red Kite View will be the new home of West Yorkshire's Children and Young People's Mental Health Service, and it aims to provide a much needed facility in the region.
It's 4 years now since we first did the outline business case. It's the first of its kind for our region. We've not had this kind of facility on this scale before. So it really brings a step change in the ability to treat more children close to home rather than having to go long distances out of area.
Currently, there's only one 8-bedded inpatient unit for the whole of West Yorkshire. So Red Kite View will replace that facility. It's a much bigger unit, more spacious.
The unit has 22 beds across 2 main ward areas. We'll be looking after young people that have difficulties, psychotic disorders, depressive disorders, young people that have emotional dysregulation difficulties. They might have self-harming behaviours that can't be managed in a community service or setting.
We've got a great multidisciplinary team who can provide a whole range of things that help those young people with their mental health, but also to help them to return to their communities, perhaps a bit better equipped to manage life.
One of the key aspects in the development of Red Kite View was the involvement of young people themselves in shaping how the unit would look and feel.
We've discussed with a lot of the staff about how young people feel during treatment and care in an inpatient unit. At the end of the day, the young person knows themselves best. So working with the staff and also having the voice heard is going to make their journey on the inpatient unit a lot easier.
We've worked with local artists, we've worked with national artists, tried to create a nature theme within the building as well. What we hope is that we've created a building that is bringing the outside in.
My hope for Red Kite View is that young people will have a place where they'll actually be listened to. It'll be a place where you can do activities and carry on with normal life as possible. So when you go back out into the community, it's not like you've just been away from the world.
I'm really keen that we here can work alongside those young people, so not doing to them, but doing with them in order to be a really extraordinary service that does great things in the future.
Thank you for that, and thank you for watching that. And obviously, one of the stars of that show was Dawn, and I'm going to hand over to her now for a few words. Dawn.
Well, thanks, Oliver. Welcome, everyone. Yeah, thank you. I'm not going to say very much because there's, Oliver talks about experts, but there's far greater experts than me. But I just wanted to set a little bit of context and why I'm so overwhelmingly delighted to be in the place where we had today, because as we've alluded to, it's been a 4-year journey. But just in terms of that, the context for this, which I think is really helpful, here we are for children and young people of West Yorkshire that in a national context had far fewer beds than were needed for the population of West Yorkshire. We only had a 8-bedded unit, not fit for purpose per the CQC, and not enough beds for the population of West Yorkshire. So many young people going out of West Yorkshire for their care and treatment, which is just not great. So I think that's why I feel so delighted that what we've been able to achieve over the last 4 years is a brand new unit, purpose-built, fit for purpose for it's for the clinical need of children and young people, and hopefully that will bring, you know, all the benefits that I'm sure my expert colleagues will talk to you about. But just to say, you know, I want to just use this opportunity to say a huge thank you to project team. We've worked massively well together as a collaborative across West Yorkshire, because this is not a unit for Leeds, it's a unit for children and young people of West Yorkshire, and hopefully you know, we'll all benefit from this fantastic facility. So I won't say any more. I'll leave it over to all my colleagues to talk you through all the benefits of Red Kite View. But I just want to express again my thanks to project team and how delighted I am to be in this position today. And as Oliver said, our young people will be coming across from Littlewood House Hall as of tomorrow.
Thank you, Dawn. And are you still having to leave us at 4 o'clock this afternoon?
No, I think I'll be all right today. I can stay.
Excellent. Okay. Because I was going to say, if people had any questions for you before you popped off, then now would be the time. But that probably means we can roll straight into our virtual tour. So on that front, if I could ask Tom to line that up for us. And then first one is going to be a view of the outside. And I'm going to come to Robin, if I may, to talk about this first.
Yeah, sure. Thanks very much, Oliver. So this is the main entrance to Red Kite View. And one thing we were really keen to achieve in terms of the main entrance is to make it feel welcoming, non-threatening, destigmatizing. And one thing that this site has is loads of mature trees around it, and taking advantage of that was really important. So as you can see on the left-hand side of the screen here, there's a great big mature willow tree just looking over the main entrance, and that forms a really good strong focal point and a really calming influence as you enter the building. And also, as you can see here, there's a water fountain which is not on during this video, but obviously it is on the nature ones, I think. And as you can just see it on a nice rare sunny winter's day, it's looking really good in the context of the wooded site. Thanks, Ollie.
Thank you very much. And you may have just caught a glimpse of the bird and obviously the name of the unit being Red Kite View. And we were able to do some involvement work with young people to come up with that. Tim, are you able to elaborate a bit on that for us?
Yeah, I think Chris is on the call as well. So thanks to Chris and the youth board for their input as well. But we spoke with the young people who were at Littlewood House Hall and also at Mill Lodge, and members of the youth board, and collectively we developed themes. So young people said things like they didn't want things to be too stark and clinical. They said that they really valued nature. And so linking in with what Robin said, the setting is great in terms of the green space and how that can promote well-being. But with the nature theme led us to thinking about birds, and the idea of a red kite was what inspired the young people. And then we used the theme of birds with the naming of the wards as well.
And hopefully, we'll get to see a bit of that and some of the fabulous artwork as well. That isn't on the inside. Any other further contributions or questions about the outside environment? Had a comment from Sue about the trees, and I think there was a fact on the call yesterday about, yes, we've had to cut a few down, but we've planted more than we cut down, I believe.
Yeah, that's right. We've planted 3 trees being planted for every 1 tree cut down, which is really great to see. And also this outside part of the garden here, which will provide exercise area, games area, and also is quite a large terrace and decking you might have seen a moment ago, which is used for can be used for lots of functions, be it somewhere to sit out in a nice sunny day, or whether it's somewhere to go outside and just do yoga, all sorts of possibilities that it can be used for.
Fantastic, thank you. Right, any questions from our guests at this point? Please feel free to come off mute and pitch in. If not, then I will. Oh, we've got a hand up.
Hi,
is it
Marvina? Yes,
Hello
it
there.
is. Hi, it looks fantastic. I want to say well done to the team and the outdoor area and the video from the MindMate ambassadors. I was just Marvina Newton from Forum Central Volition team. I'm the mental health inequality lead for children and young people for ethnic minorities. And again, I would just love to kind of see some of the cultural competent stuff that has been done around the space. So if through the description, you can let me know about some of those things when you're doing a tour, I would really appreciate it to see what's been incorporated to include ethnic minority children and young people.
Okay, we'll obviously get to see the inside in a moment. I think involvement-wise, I think, Tim, you said that Chris was on the call. I must admit I can't see everyone at the moment, but I'm afraid I'm a bit too far removed to be able to answer that.
I'm sorry, did the young people that we worked with were it wasn't just one representation, there was a range of young people from different backgrounds and ethnicities. I think when you see the inside and you see some of the artwork, I'm hoping that we'll see quite a range of representations.
Thanks, Tim. And Em Inman, who led the artwork work stream, I don't think she's on the call today, but she would have been able to talk a bit more about that. But there's I think a practical question from Sarah Keane about parking. Now, I do know this has been improved, so there are 50 spaces, I believe, that have been put in for Red Kite View, including 2 electric charging points. So trying to get with the times and with more sustainable transport. So hopefully, yes, that will improve parking situation at St Mary's, at least for all the new staff coming in. If there's no more questions at this point, then I will ask Tom if you could move us on to the next chapter, please. And if this moves us inside the main reception. Robin, could I bring you in again at this point?
Of course you can. So as you've entered the main building here, you can see through the building to the garden beyond, and that was a deliberate move to essentially aid the process as you go into the building. So you kind of see your way through. It kind of makes it, the intention is to make it feel, I guess, like you're not entering a big institutional hospital. You're entering a building that's open and welcoming and easy to understand, and in effect, light at the end of the tunnel. Because when a young person will be entering this building, it'll be a very distressing time of their life, and we don't want the building to make that more difficult than it needs to be. And all the colours has been selected in consultation with a lot of the young people and other stakeholders for all the different finishes, the wall colours, etc. So you can see that lovely green colour there in the wall, and also the wider reception area as well has been designed just to be quite a low stimulus and quite a calming space. And here's one of the first pieces of artwork, as you can see on the wall, which Oliver mentioned that Em has led on quite successfully. And then this probably is a good point to highlight on the left-hand side here is the commitment that has been in the process of being painted on the wall in this video. So I don't know if Oliver, if someone wants to come in on that.
Yes. So you can see on the wall on the left-hand side there, we were in the process of painting 9 commitments that our MindMate ambassadors had helped us co-create with young people. Unfortunately, you can't see them because at the time it was shot, they weren't there. But I don't know if anyone on the call's got that they could flash up for me. I don't have that to hand. Lucy, you nodding there? Ah, fantastic, thank you. So two of my main ambassadors, Amy and Rachel, work with young people to come up with these core commitments, and hopefully you can read those. I won't read them all out, but they are now adorning the wall of Red Kite View. So it's a bit like the NHS Constitution, I suppose, something that we can all hang our hats on and say what we're here to do and what's important to people. But thank you very much, Lucy. And we'll return to the video. Any other contributions at this point from our panel?
I was just going to talk about the charter and the question that we just had, because obviously co-production participation has been key to the development of Red Kite View, and that's been with a range of young people from different backgrounds, cultures, genders. But that charter sets out a set of commitments that we as a service are going to look to uphold with all young people, and that it's basically based on individualised care, and that those young people will be at the centre of all the decisions made about them, with their care. So that's the approach that we're trying to take, and what we don't want is co-production, participation, struggling with that word today, is to be something separate, wanting to be embedded into our practice on the unit. And that's where that charter came from. That's what we're going to be focusing on.
Thank you so much, Nick, for coming in there. I think we missed your introduction at the beginning. I hope you weren't held up in traffic again.
No, I was held up in the unit. Sorry, everyone. My name's Nick Lee. I'm the operational manager for Red Kite View, so I'm responsible for all the clinical services across the unit.
That's great, and thanks so much for coming in there. Really glad you could talk to that. And I would only the thing I'd add at this point is something that Pat Young, our wonderful project manager, who's led this for the last 4 years, said about bringing the outside in and the sort of natural light that floods in. It's we were really lucky this day when we were filming because all the sunshine was sort of flooding into the building. Okay, any other comments before we move on? Any questions from our guests today at this point? Is there an on-site cafe? Asks ST. Sorry, I don't know who ST is, but there isn't, I don't think, but there is wonderful on-site catering facilities for our young people, but unfortunately not, I don't think like a public cafe like we've got at Becklin Centre. Question about Wi-Fi. Yeah. We do have it, but is it publicly accessible, I think is the question, Dawn.
Is that to me? Yes, it will be. Yeah, can I just go back to the catering? And I know it's, it's just to point out, I mean, obviously, as Oliver's alluded to, our operating model is cook fresh for service users in the unit, which is a big step change for the organisation, and we do believe will be fabulous and much better and therapeutic for service users. But from a staff perspective, and apologies because I don't know if we're going to show the staff facilities. Whilst we've not got a cafe, we obviously from a staff wellbeing perspective have got really much enhanced staff welfare facilities, and there are lots of space in the staff welfare facilities for staff to be able to, you know, have breaks and eat and things in a much better way than perhaps most of our other facilities. But it's not common or standard to put in for a unit of this size a full-on cafe, but there's a lot of staff wellbeing facilities.
Absolutely, thanks, Dawn. And we will see those a little bit later on, and hopefully a bit more of the kitchen today as well. I've got a hand up from Brodie.
Hi, Brodie Clark from Leeds Community Healthcare. Just a question about staff and uniforms. Did you have a discussion about that? Will staff wear uniforms or be in civilian clothes?
I can answer that one. Yes, I think the guidance at the minute from IPC is that the nursing staff in particular still be required to wear scrubs. Outside of COVID, there'll be no uniform across the service, which is in line with sort of the evidence-based around uniforms and young people in particular. So for the minute, the nursing staff will be in scrubs due to IPC and COVID.
But that will change after COVID?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
That's great, thank you. Thanks for that, Nick. Right, without further ado, we've got quite a bit more to see. So shall we move on to the third chapter? I don't need to... Thanks, Tom. So the general adolescent unit, and Nick, could I bring you in again at this point?
Yeah, so this is Skylark. This is the general adolescent unit, and this space that you're seeing now is where we'll move the young people from Littlewood Household tomorrow. So this is the day dining space, which is multifunction. Also leads out onto the courtyard area and into the recreation room. We've got a wide range of recreational items and activities for the young people to be doing. The general adolescent unit itself is 16 beds and will be split initially 8 and 8, but we have the ability to be able to flex the unit in size, so we can change the configuration to 10 and 6, 12 and 4. And from a clinical perspective, that's going to give us a lot of flexibility to be able to create specialised care areas for young people that present with certain challenges and difficulties, and will mean that we can manage and care for young people more effectively in that space, rather than historically what might happen from this setting is that we look to escalate and transfer that young person to maybe a psychiatric intensive care unit or a low secure unit. We can change the configuration of this unit. So this leads us out onto the corridor, and this is again where the young people tomorrow will be moving into. All the bedrooms are en suite. They have fitted desks, wardrobe spaces, and underbed storage. So at the minute, I've just got staff members making beds. So these are the bedrooms.
I think, Nick, yesterday we talked about the colour scheme as well, didn't we? About it being autism friendly.
Yeah, so everything from the colour palette has been discussed specifically with the sensory team to make sure that it's muted enough that it isn't overly stimulating, but also that we're still able to bring some vibrancy to the unit itself. There is slight different colour coordinations. I wish I could remember the name. I want to say it's Crushed Blossom, potentially, in the GAU unit. And then there's a lovely lime green colour in the PICU. And then this leads us into so this is the second day dining space on the general adolescent unit. So there are 16 beds. Each side has their own day dining space, their own lounge area, their own quiet room, their own recreation room. So we can effectively run 2 separate services, 2 separate ward areas. This artwork is from Nicholas Dixon. And then this leads out onto, we've got a view over into sort of the woodland walk area and into the sports area. Need to put some football nets up in.
Sounds good, thank you. Any other contributions from the panel on the GAU?
I would just add at this point, Oliver, that because the site slopes quite significantly at this point in the building, where the day dining spaces is really elevated up, so you get a really great view out into the garden.
It is. It's just a shame we can't be there to see it, but we'll. For those who do get to visit, it really is lovely. Thank you, Robin. Any questions from our guests at this point? Trying to keep an eye on the chat. I don't think there's anything in there, but any hands up, or please just come off mute and shout out if you want. Okie dokie. This is one of my favourite rooms, actually. This is a dining space. It's got a fabulous map that you can probably just make out in the background there of Leeds, with some landmarks in there.
Yeah, so this is the shared dining room. So this is attached to the first section of the acute unit. And this is where we'll be with young people doing therapeutic eating, meal support, and bringing families in as well when we're able to from a COVID situation. And that'll help support and facilitate discharge home, so we can actually upskill parents in how to manage young people, particularly with eating disorders. And then this is the courtyard for the GAU. So this is shared between all 16 patients on the GAU unit. And again, this is a real positive that the young people have got free access outside when they need to have it, which is difficult in some other units.
And because this is an enclosed space, Nick, there's no need for fencing or anything around here.
No.
Fabulous. And that concludes the GAU. Any questions before we move on? Okay. Fabulous. Thanks, Tom. On to the PQ. And I think this is you up again, Nick. No rest for the wicked.
It's artificial grass, by the way. So yeah, this is Lapwing. So this is the psychiatric intensive care unit. So this is 6 bedrooms. So here we'll be looking after young people who basically can't be managed on the general adolescent unit due to presenting risks to themselves or to others. So this is into the first airlock. So you can see the clinic room, and that'll lead you down into the ward manager's office. So for the PICU, which is the psychiatric intensive care unit, I think this is a unit that we're going to be able to be really innovative with and there's only a small number of young people PICUs across the country, and the theoretical model for the PICU is going to be positive behavioural support. So that is young people that present with challenging behaviours. It's a model of care that enables us to work more collaboratively and positively with those behaviours rather than being punitive. So it's been trialled in some adult PICUs and some adult low secure units, but us bringing this into a young people service, again, is going to be quite a big area of innovation for us. And this service is new to LYPFT as well, in terms of the young people's PICU. So into the clinic room. So they've got their own. Oh, sorry, go on.
Sorry, Nick. I was just going to say that the PICU is going to be key in terms of thinking about the whole system for children and young people in the mental health system. The current issues we have are often around young people who are inappropriately placed. So a young person who maybe needs a PICU bed who ends up on a general adolescent ward means that it's not the right place for them. It's not the right place for the other young. It's not right for the other young people. So what happens is we get extended lengths of stay, and basically the young person's needs are not met. So by creating a PICU ward, we've now got the capacity for flow throughout the whole system, which means that we'll be able to use our beds more effectively and efficiently.
Yeah, and young people should only be admitted onto PICUs for 6 weeks, maybe 8 tops. So they're really intensive environments to provide specific targeted work for young people. So they're low stimulus environments, the staffing is higher, and that's so we can provide the right level of care and support to the young people that are in there. Because again, young people admitted to PICUs are ones that present with really challenging behaviours. But having a unit and a space where we can effectively manage them, we can then de-escalate them down to the acute unit before we look to discharge back home. So this is just the bit where we're looking around at the minute, is their day dining space. And then that leads on to a little therapy room. And adjacent to that is a quiet room where there's just spaces for people to take breaks, de-escalate.
Fabulous. Thank you, Nick and Tim there as well. Any other contributions from our panelists before I open up to questions? No? Okay. So yeah, any questions from guests about the PICU or what you've seen so far? Okay, don't think so. Can't see anyone. I can't hear anything. So unless I'm missing something. Fabulous. Thank you, Tom. If you could roll on.
Can I ask a question?
So we've just got a question. I just didn't spot that. It's Philippa. Sorry. Could you pause there? Thank you.
Yeah, sorry. I was just asking, and I might have missed it, so apologies. Did you say there was a separate outdoor space?
Yeah, they've their own courtyard area. So similar to the one that you saw at the acute unit, slightly smaller, but yeah, it's totally separate from the acute unit. And again, it's young people being able to have access to outdoor space. So that's for all the PICU patients.
Okay, thank you.
We do have some excellent aerial footage and photography that that we've been showcasing throughout the project. And when you look at it from above, it's like a figure 8. So you've got these kind of 2 enclosed courtyards in effect, but sit within in there. So it really is fantastic. And then obviously the space out the back with the decking and the trees as well. Fabulous.
Question, please.
Hello, please do, Sue.
Hi, I'm Sue Rumbold. I'm one of the governors at OIPFT. Previously worked at Leeds City Council in Children's Services. And I just wanted to ask, have you linked in with the council and linked in with Child Friendly Leeds? Because I feel that there could be some real benefits to doing that. And, young people coming into that unit, I mean, it looks incredible. It really is amazing. You've got the map of Leeds. All of those things just look amazing. But have you linked into Child Friendly Leeds? Because, we worked with over 900 child friendly ambassadors And I'm sure some of the ambassadors would be really interested in supporting the unit if you need additional, things for the building, or I don't know, iPads or those, anything that you might need. If you link in with Child Friendly Leeds, I'm sure that would be able to be done. And there is a logo for Child Friendly Leeds as well. I don't know if you know what that is.
I've seen it's a thumbs up logo.
It is. Oh, I'm being a bit sad, but it's that's the Child Friendly Leeds logo. It's an orange thumb, and it just gives that sense that this is a whole approach that Leeds is taking to support children and young people. And Red Kite View is a massive part of that. It really is. It's incredible. And I think, I'm really happy, Nick, if you want to get in touch, to put you in touch with colleagues in the council, because I no longer work at the council. I retired last year. But I can certainly put you in touch with colleagues, so that the Child Friendly can be part of Red Kite. I think that'd be amazing.
Yeah, me and Tim had a meeting yesterday about further co-production, further participation from all of West Yorkshire. Because what we ideally want is some kind of youth board representation that can support the young people on the unit. So it's young people supporting young people. Absolutely. And kind of acting like a non-exec board would within the NHS, where they can hold us as management to account for certain issues. So obviously there's been a huge piece of work to get Red Kite View to this stage now, but going forward, we want to link with all different kind of agencies across West Yorkshire, not just Leeds as well.
I understand that, yeah. So linking in with the ICS will be the way to do that. And I'm the program director for the ICS for children's. So that's definitely something that we could look at, because we have something called the Youth Collective, which is a group of young people who are our support and challenge around the ICS and how we work as an ICS.
Yeah.
So I'm really happy to have a conversation with you, Nick, about that.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Thank you very much. I've just lost my place, but I think we've had a couple of questions in the chat. Will we be showing the nursing stations? Now, I don't think we have nursing stations in the traditional acute sort of ward sense, Nick, do we? But
we've got 2 nursing bases where the nurses will sit. So in the first video, you could just see the outline, but basically the nursing bases are sat in the day dining spaces that you'd seen at the side. So we've got viewing panels into the day dining spaces, into the corridor areas of the bedrooms, and also out to the courtyards. And that's the same for both sides of the acute unit and also the PICU unit. So the nursing stations are sat centrally in both ward areas.
Just to add a bit of context to that, it was the areas you might have seen which had the 2 murals wrapping around them.
Yeah.
And we can make these tour videos available again if people want to view them at their leisure. We'll get them hosted on our website. Thanks, Tim. Yes, so Red Kite is on the existing St Mary's Hospital site, for those who are familiar with St Mary's Hospital in Armley, but it's been built in the sort of I suppose one of the corners of that area, which again we've got some fantastic footage of the construction work that's taken place to kind of clear that area of the old buildings and erect this. So we just didn't have time for it all today, I don't think. Okay, thank you everyone. I'm going to move us on, I think, to the next section, which we almost started, which I think was the 136 suite. Thank you, Tom. And Nick, do you want to kick us off again on this?
Yeah. So this is Goldfinch, and leaning into the bird theme across the unit. So this is section 136 suite. So this is just the Leeds-based service. And for anyone who isn't aware, section 136 suites are places of safety for young people or people generally that require sort of immediate assessment if they're presented with an acute mental health difficulty in the community. So it would be the police that would put any person on a section 136. They would then bring them to our service so we could do an assessment and identify the best place for that young person's needs to be met. So here we have an interview room, so this is where we'll be doing the assessment. We have a separate office space, and then there is also a bedroom and ensuite as well. So again, this is a Leeds-based service at the minute. I think the average use of it is around 50 days a year in terms of our requirement from a Leeds perspective for Section 136 assessments. And this will be staffed by the team at Red Kite View once they're aware that we've got a young person coming in requiring a Section 136 assessment.
Thanks, Nick. And any other comments from our panelists on this? No problem at all. Any questions? And I think we've had something in the chat from Barbara, and this is my area of expertise. Thankfully, I could talk to this one. Similar video of the building before for young people to see before they admitted. So we are working on another production at the moment, which we shot before Christmas, where we were fortunate enough to work with some young people volunteers and some very youthful looking staff members who were able to play the parts of some young people, as well as staff playing their own roles, where we simulated the environment. So we simulated an arrival, we simulated a therapy session, we showcased the multisensory room and the bedrooms and all kinds of other facilities. So that is currently in production, and we're hoping that will be available to publish quite soon. It's a bit more of an involved piece of work to pull that all together, but there will be something coming out which does that justice, hopefully.
Sorry, Oliver, another thing about the 136 is that it's another example where we're working across trusts and services and providers, so that we're focusing. We start with the young person, think about what their needs are, and then think about collectively how do we come together to make them work. So I see Jane's on the call, so Jane and I are working up a plan for how we'll manage the 136.
Thank you very much, Tim. Any other questions about 136 whilst before we move on to the final instalment? I have had another comment in the chat. I'm just checking back.
Sorry, that's me again.
Hello.
Hi,
sorry,
it's
just trying to
Barbara.
catch up. Thank you, Barbara.
Yeah, Barbara Temple, Children Missing Education, Children and Families, and I commission the Medical Needs Teaching Service. So just obviously, again, in terms of the film, a great idea. I think it's great. Can we just ensure that some inclusion of teaching in there as well, so that young people know, see the staff that might teach them as well?
Absolutely. I think we're about to come on to.
Oh, I'm sorry. I've jumped ahead. My
Yeah,
apologies.
It's all right. You're an eager beaver, and that's great. But it will feature today, and it will feature in the service user and carer video that we're putting together. We spend a bit of time in the education suite with, as I say, youthful staff playing the part of young people. We were very fortunate to have such youthful crop of new recruits. And Stacey and Gwyneth, who are on the call today, able to sort of, as I say, simulate the environment a bit and then paint a picture of what that will look like, because obviously it's so important. So we are gonna come on to that. So I think I'll move us on to that in a sec. I think the next chunk, Tom, what we on to? We are. Got it right. There we go. Thank you.
Everyone, so yeah, this is Starling. This is the education suite at Red Kite View. It's going to be made of 3 classrooms. We've got a science room, maths and English, where we'll have specialist teachers with lessons in line with the young person's curriculum from their mainstream school. We are very grateful to Pat and the team, Trust and Architects, for taking our views on board and for recognising the value of education. So we understand that young people don't always have a positive experience of school, and maybe leading to admission. But we also recognise that education can be hugely motivating and a protective factor for a lot of young people if we get it right. So hopefully with the additional staffing and the additional space, we'll be able to kind of extend our offer and make sure we can deliver kind of personal pathways for all young people, ensuring really positive outcomes. So this is just the walkway into the schoolroom actually, so it's really lovely and spacious and airy. It's a world away from kind of the schoolroom at Littlewood House, if anyone has the experience of visiting that space there. We can act as an exam host centre, so for any people in year 11 or year 13 in exams, they will be able to sit them at Red Kite View. And we've also recruited a team of support staff who will be dedicated to support those young people who are post-16, especially those young people who arrive and are not in any form of employment, education or training. So we can hopefully spark a love of learning, find a course that's right for them and ensure that on discharge they've got a course ready to enjoy. So I don't know if there's any questions or if Gwyneth wants to add anything on that.
Thanks, Stacey. Gwyneth, are you able to join us today? I think you were struggling with your line yesterday.
Yes, I was, and yes, no, it's just we're being incredibly fortunate in Leeds, and I know Sue mentioned and Barbara mentioned about local authority involvement, and the medical needs teaching service, of which the team at Red Kite View is part of, is commissioned by the local authority, and we were really supported all the way along to put in a very ambitious bid to the DFE, which we were successful with, which means that we can put in that first class kind of provision into this first class provision in every way, really. We recognise, of course, that education is hugely important in terms of a young person's recovery. And we link in very much with the home schools and obviously with our NHS colleagues and getting these young people back into the environment or onto another environment that's suitable to give them the future that they are, that they deserve, really.
Thanks very much, Stacey and Gwyneth. And what you can see now is we've moved on to the staff rest area, which I think Dawn was talking about earlier, and it's something that we felt so important, especially if you probably read a lot in the news at the moment about staff burnout and obviously the pressures of the pandemic and the working conditions that they're under at the moment, and having a space like this, which is, as you can see, it's elevated, fabulous views, nice and light and airy, where they can come and have a proper break. It's fantastic to see. Sorry, Robin.
If I can just go in on that point there, Oliver, in addition to this central staff restroom, there's also dedicated staff restrooms on each ward as well, so that staff member working on ward doesn't have to go upstairs and leave the ward to take a break. Oh, and also there's actually a dedicated terrace just for staff on the first floor, which is unique to Red Kite View.
Indeed, there is. It just feels quite luxurious, actually. I was making use of it myself before Christmas, and it's a really great place to get some fresh air. Just checking the chat. Andrew has asked, will there be provision to support young people whose first language is not English? Stacey or Gwyneth, can I come to you on that?
Yes, I'm not sure if this is a wider question for any inpatient being on the unit as well, but certainly we have staff who are experienced with working with young people who have English as an additional language. So yeah, absolutely, in education context, we will be able to support with that. But I don't know if the team have used Language Line or there's.
Yeah, just from a clinical perspective, the team have got access to translation services across the trust, and the team are used to using them either with young people or often parents to make sure that everyone's sort of updated on the progress of care for the young person.
Thank you. I'd read that in the context of education, but of course it's probably a wider question. Thank you very much. And I think we've had to say goodbye to a few people who've dropped off the call just now, but I think that might have drawn our tour to an end. Apart from Tom, was there some bits of the kitchen that we haven't seen yet?
Sorry, yeah, they were just at the end of the 1 through 6.
Ah, did we miss that?
So
You're able to roll
yeah, I
forward.
think we skipped along.
So, and as Dawn mentioned earlier, and we've just edited this in quickly now because we weren't able to capture it on the day. Cook fresh on site is so important, and it's something that I think has massive benefits. And we've got a little bit of footage here just showcasing our wonderful catering manager, Phil Long. There he is, fetching a tasty looking roast out of the oven there. But Nick or Tim, I suppose I'd be looking to you if you're able to sort of talk about why this is so important.
Yeah, I think being able to have an option, like I said, in terms of the cook fresh approach, so we can be more flexible with young people and their needs from an eating perspective. We've also linked in with Phil and his team quite extensively from a clinical perspective. So we're going to be putting on cooking sessions with the young people and trying to upskill young people in that way as well. And the ability to be able to be flexible and to be adaptive to young people's needs is, it's a real win for the service, and especially with, the rise with young people with eating difficulties and disorders. It's invaluable having this option available to us.
Thanks very much. Just checking the chat. So we've got a couple of questions in there, but before I come to them, I think that is the end of our tour, all our tour videos. Am I right there, Tom?
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you very much. Thanks for playing all those in. Thanks for all your help with that. Right, so that does actually conclude our virtual tour today. So I hope that's been really helpful for everyone, and thank you to our panelists who've contributed along the way.